For the longest time, ever since I watched this special from Tag and the Power of Juju, I always think that this would have given this show potential, but considering they released it towards the end of the show's lifespan in November of 2008, it really sums up on the fact that they clearly don't know what to do with this show, which further proves onto how untalented Nickelodeon is by handling an IP on their own without anyone who created the IP in the first place. Destiny Schmestiny is supposed to be a special where it showcases of how serious this show is when it comes to the main antagonists, and to give the special credit, it at least attempts to give Tech some development when it comes to him being different than how he was in the video games. Something that in the video games he never had. But we're gonna get to that later. However, it doesn't change the fact that this entire special was way too late to be considered to take the show seriously, judging of how everything that we've seen from this show, unless if you did sit through the entire show like I once did back in 2017, it's not even worth mentioning of how much Nickelodeon dropped the ball on this franchise, with this taking place right after not only the fourth Nicktoons game that Tak was part of, but also the fourth Tak game, Guardians of Ghosts, that they made, which really showcased that they wanted this IP to succeed. Well, 2008 is supposed to be Tak's breakout year of some sorts when it comes to these achievements, but considering that Guardians of Ghosts is nowhere near as good as the other Tak games, all the while the fourth Nicktoons game is just mainly him sticking around, I really feel like that this didn't need to be released in November of 2008, judging of how it wouldn't even make a difference. But if it was released in the very beginning, when Tak debuted back in 2007, maybe some people would still be invested with the show despite what they're getting when it comes to the episodes themselves. In this episode, Tak's birthday has arrived and he gets something from Japoba, to which he opens and is revealed to be a rock. And this special takes place before the series, which showcases of them witnessing the Jujus for the first time. And as much as I wanted to take this moment seriously when it comes to them going to the Juju realm, which does explain onto why they never go back to the Pupanoodle village due to Darkness Juju getting in the way. But at the same time, due to how they were executed in the show, it's honestly hard if this special should have taken place in the very beginning by releasing it way earlier rather than later. But at the same time, if the other way around, which it did happen in reality, I don't even think that this show would even try to make a good impression when it comes to having these formulas form together when they're establishing that Tak is the chosen one. One of the key elements of Tak's character in this is that before he got his staff in this, he still had Juju powers when it comes to anything that he causes, which explains later on that he is the son of Aurora Juju and Darkness Juju, which is the biggest difference between Tak's character in this and how he was in the video games, which I would have been on board with it. It doesn't change the fact that even if Nickelodeon somewhat promoted this special, it didn't really make a good impression regardless of what Tak went through over the last year ever since it premiered. Believe me, it really feels like that this should have happened way earlier, but all I can think of is they will probably get a second season, but at the same time, people will probably won't be interested due to what the producers and writers did when it came to the majority of this season when it comes to filler episodes and not taking the characters seriously, to the point that Tak being part Juju just doesn't really stick the landing, judging of how he was portrayed, as if him being immature is the only way to showcase him getting some kind of development by growing up, but at the same time, judging of how he was portrayed in the video games, it really makes Tak really more of an afterthought when it comes to him being half Juju due to what they did with his character. The main antagonist, Darkness Juju, is mostly the same character from the third Tak game, except that he has a different direction, even though it's predictable that he is taking over the world and whatnot. But I really feel like with them introducing Darkness Juju, with him being a different character, and the fact that he is not worthy, not in the words of the Thor franchise, of using the rock that Tak uses later on, because whenever he throws the rock away from him, it launches back towards him to the point that it has a connection towards Tak. Maybe I would instantly feel invested when it comes to Darkness Juju, judging of how he is Tak's father, but at the same time, judging that they can't be able to showcase of Darkness Juju whatsoever when it came to the series, since that they didn't even bother introducing him, and only introducing him in this special way late than earlier. It just makes me feel like that he is not Tak's father due to him not getting the idea of who Tak is. Granted, it may take a long time for people like Darkness Juju to remember what really happened when it came to Tak being left at the Juju Shrine due to Aurora Juju placing him there, which led to Jabopa taking care of him. But at the same time, I really feel like that the idea of Aurora Juju avoiding Darkness Juju in the same ways as Moon Juju avoiding Dark Juju from Tak 3 is mainly the fact that they dropped the ball on Aurora Juju on not expanding her character on how Tak is the way he is when it comes to him being part Juju. The thing is that when you have this major difference between the video games by having Tak being the son of Darkness Juju and Aurora Juju, you would instantly think that what Aurora Juju has may have a huge connection when it comes to Tak being part Juju. And then whenever you just see Tak doing so many mistakes in the series when it came to this, the Aftermath, I really feel like that all I've seen from the main series is mainly a waste of thought, because there was gonna be a lot more potential when it comes to Tak's character being part Juju. And even if people who are fans of the Tak franchise may not take this seriously, if some people do like I do, I'm pretty sure that there would have been different other scenarios to showcase on Aurora Juju in the main series, rather than having the series itself being over the top and goofy. Whenever you think about Tak's character in the original series, it's mainly him growing as a character when it came to the first game, being Jabopa's errand boy. The second game, despite taking all place in a dream, he became a mighty warrior for seriousness. And in the third game, with his cooperation with Locke, it really shows that he's still improved as a character when it comes to him being brave, and a lot more different than how he was in the first game. Granted, not everything was going to happen in the span of one season, which is understandable, but with this detail in mind, with this version of Tak being part Juju and the son of Darkness Juju and Aurora Juju, I can only imagine what the Tak franchise when it comes to video games would have done if they actually took this approach and actually did it much more better, because it's not a terrible idea. It's just that Nickelodeon didn't even bother taking the development seriously. Every time I look at Tak in this special, I wanted to take him seriously, but at times the show doesn't even bother to make me feel sympathy towards Tak due to how he was portrayed of what happens after this prequel special. It's one thing to have him be a servant to the Poopa Noodle people, since it's somewhat similar to him being an errand boy of Jaboba from the first game, but considering that they didn't even bother to make him feel sympathetic, it just makes it difficult for me to see of what his character would have been like if he wasn't this dumbed down. But then again, Nickelodeon made the Poopa Noodle Village dumbed down, unlike how they were in the video games. Even though that the majority of the Poopa Noodle Village was never present in those video games, but at the same time, it kind of sums up a lot that they just clearly have no faith into taking any of the characters seriously, and when they make this, they expect us to take them seriously. They don't deserve to be statues forever, but at the same time, with little information involving Darkness Juju up until we get to this special that happens towards the end, honestly, what Tak describes himself on saving the day when it came to this being the prequel series, for the longest time, I always thought that this was mostly taking place in the video games when the first episodes aired in 2007. But at the same time, the build-up towards this was really difficult to be invested, considering I didn't watch this special when the show was airing, and I only watched it when I got the DVD case of season 1 of this show. They're all good ideas, but at the same time, due to everything that I've witnessed when it comes to the show, even being forgettable at times, it really makes me to believe that what I've seen is mainly just Nickelodeon trying to experiment CGI, with this being the first. And around the time that this special came out, they did a sneak peek of the following CGI show, Penguins of Madagascar, which ended up becoming much more superior over this. It's obvious that a DreamWorks property would be a lot more popular than Tak, but considering that they had a direction that was much more suitable for that show than this, I'm going to assume that with them trying to understand CGI as a whole, is mainly making Tak and the Power of Juju an experiment when it comes to CGI. But then again, they didn't take anything into consideration when it comes to the writing, characters, and whatnot, that are supposed to be a lot more important than making CGI. Because regardless if you didn't like the CGI in this show, you have to admit that with this being the first time Nickelodeon is doing a CGI show, and even to this day possibly they're still doing CGI shows, the only humble beginnings I can think about when it comes to this show is mainly Nickelodeon doing CGI for the first time, which is really sad when they didn't take anything in this show seriously. Honestly, the good thing that came out when it comes to this special is mainly of how it showcased that Nickelodeon learned that they can't be able to succeed with the show due to poor reception from the fans, well, mainly audience. And this is possibly the only cartoon that never got booted to Nicktoons, which is the graveyard or the death sentence for multiple shows to where it ended. So I'm going to assume that this is the first and only Nicktoon that ended in the main network without being booted to Nicktoons. It could be an assumption, but at the same time, it could be not. The reason why I wanted to review this special is because today marks the 16th anniversary of this special. Well, it's supposed to be a good thing, But in comparison to the other specials that we've seen from other cartoons, especially from Nickelodeon, this doesn't really feel that special due to how forgotten this show was. To, well, if it did continue on, I'm pretty sure that this would have been a lot more memorable, but at the same time, with it being released way late, this didn't really make a good impression due to how everything was executed from the main series. It's just sad that Nickelodeon never took this IP seriously when they're in full control of the IP itself. I didn't even care if the crystal wasn't a rock, and I especially didn't care about the fights between Tak and Antagonist Juju, because even if it's not like how it was in the games, which I would have been okay with it's just how Tak is executed with everything taking place after this special. What am I supposed to feel when it comes to how his abilities work and how he's not really remembering what he just went through from this entire special itself, because he didn't brought it up, which is one thing to keep it as a surprise when this came out 16 years ago, but then again, I'm not really buying on the whole idea of him moving forward of what really happened. Granted, he did say that he did save the day, but then again, considering that the Pupunulu village isn't intelligent, it's probably a good thing that we don't get to see characters from the games return in this in any shape or form due to poor execution. And to tell you the truth, if there is no destiny and what the title of this entire special is way more accurate, then honestly, they did get one thing right, but that doesn't excuse on this entire show being excusable of being good. So yeah, that's literally everything I have to say about this special itself, and it's bad. It's not one of the worst from the show, but it's still bad. It's just really depressing to think that they have the ideals, but again, poor execution really got in the way due to Nickelodeon not caring about this, and then months later, this show officially ended with a couple of episodes being released in January of 2009. I don't know when I'm ever going to talk about this show again, but it'll most likely me comparing one of the episodes to one of the Nickelodeon episodes from other cartoons that did much more better execution than what Tak did. I do have a couple, but at the same time, it's not going to be a lot in comparison to what I've compared shows in the past. I'm just saying, I'm considerate on doing it, but then again, it's way low on my list. And with other projects in mind for 2025, there will be at least one video, but at the same time, that's also unlikely, but who knows. I'm giving this special a 4 out of 10.